This morning, we take a look at the city of Stockton in California as part of our ongoing series, American Voices. We're exploring how issues facing the U.S. are playing out at the local level. In 2012, Stockton filed for bankruptcy and was one of Forbes' most miserable cities in America. Stockton is now ranked the second most fiscally healthy city in the state, but nearly 1 in 4 people live below the poverty line.
In 2016, Michael Tubbs was elected mayor at the age of 26. He is the youngest mayor of a city with more than 100,000 people and is Stockton's first African-American mayor. Mayor Tubbs is addressing his town's poverty with an innovative and controversial program to give some Stockton residents $500 a month to fight economic hardship. He's with us now. Mayor Tubbs, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
I know your city has struggled for years with income inequality and poverty. Why universal basic income?
Well, it's interesting because the idea is almost as old as the Republic. So Thomas Paine was calling for this in the Agrarian Revolution, Dr. King before he passed, even Richard Nixon. The idea is that, especially in California, 1 in 2 Californians can't afford one $400 emergency. People are working harder and harder, only to fall further and further behind. So a group called the Economic Security Project was looking for a city to pilot with philanthropic funding, no taxpayer dollars. And given the challenges of Stockton, but also given the resilience and the brilliance of our residents, I thought it would be a good fit for us.
You know, kind of the first stop of the criticism is give people money and they won't work. It doesn't incentivize them. It's just a welfare program.
But what's interesting, the research says something different. So there was a study done in the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Native Americans that found $4,000 to $6,000 a year did good things for the folks. That educational attainment rose, drug use went down, and there was no labor market impact. So we're hoping to see something similar in Stockton.
You've got a wide span of supporters. Everyone from Bernie Sanders to Elon Musk to Richard Branson support this initiative, and it's beginning in August, right, of this year?
Ideally in August. We just hired a program director, and so the next couple months she'll be working with the community to really get community input, figure out criterion, selection, work out the kinks, and hopefully by the time school starts, we're starting.
Wow.
What are some of the criteria that it will have if you get the basic income? What are some of the things you put in the program to avoid some of the criticism?
So the idea is that it be as universal as possible, meaning you and me. So someone who makes $70,000 could get it, someone who makes $7,000 would be equally eligible to qualify. And then the second tenet will be that it'll be no strings attached, that we trust that people are smart and resilient and will make the best decision for them and their families with the money, understanding that everyone's not going to do it right, I guess, but that doesn't happen in the status quo anyway.
Is it a penalty if you don't do it right? And you
no, it's $500, no strings attached. The idea is to have a conversation about kind of the economic system of this country, but also highlight stories of what something as small as $500 can do, whether it's the difference between a mother who's able to now pay for childcare and get back in the workforce, or an entrepreneur who's able to work on their startup ideas, or artists, just really highlighting the stories and putting a new face to the conversation around poverty in the country.
Stockton is not far from Silicon Valley. Why hasn't it reaped some of the benefits and that huge amount of wealth that's in that area?
We are working on it. I think part of it has been oftentimes we've been so tunnel vision and focused just on Stockton because we're close. We're also a world away. Our diversity, our average income, the educational attainment, so we're working on all those things. Just this month, we announced a $20 million scholarship program, so now that every kid in our school district could go to school essentially tuition free.
Yeah.
You really had quite the economic, recovery from 2012, right, when you just graduated from college. Let me ask you, because the president's really been touting a lot of his initiatives over the past year. Have you seen that come to fruition in your city? Have you seen your citizens reap the benefits of what the president said he's been doing over the past year?
Well, we're hoping to reap the benefits from the Opportunity Zone program. But honestly, a lot of the time has been spent kind of quelling fears, especially around immigration. So for the past year, we've been having a conversation about values, because Stockton's 1/3 foreign born, meaning the majority of our population are either immigrants or children of immigrants. So when we're talking about taking people away from families and deporting people and doing raids, it causes a huge ripple effect in the community. So we've been feeling those effects and letting people know that in Stockton, we're a city of immigrants, we're proud of our diversity, and we're safe here.
Well, what has been, the reaction from the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, to threaten to punish Stockton for your immigration policy?
Which was interesting because the letter talked about jails, and the city doesn't operate jails, the county does. We sent the letter back nicely and said, you know what, we're a city of immigrants, we're not going to stop, detain, or frisk someone just based on immigration status, and if you want to talk about the jails, you have to talk to the sheriff, which is a different office from the city of Stockton.
And are you in conversation with them, or is it just a one-way thing from the Department of Justice?
We respond when needed.
Tell me about those ripple effects you were talking about in terms of what the president is saying to this immigrant community in Stockton.
Well, it causes a lot of fear. So then we see children not going to school, for example. or we see folks not reporting crimes, for example, or people not engaging with government in a way. And for that to happen in Stockton, it's bad because, again, a majority of our population are either foreign-born or their parents are, meaning that that is our community. And if they're not a part of it, then we're not able to have the civic life we need.
Let me ask about another thing you're trying, which is with paying what some people are calling cash for criminals, which is a program that pays a stipend to young people who aren't involved in crime.
Yeah, it's a program called Advanced Peace. And the idea has 7 criteria. But the idea is that in most urban cities, a small percentage of people commit the most violent crimes. And while the cops will still do their things and jails will still exist, but while they're still in our community, I think we owe it to invest in them. So the idea is that they're part of a fellowship, and if they meet certain criterion, after 6 months, they're eligible for a stipend based off work. So it goes to that ethos of having to earn your keep, but we're just making sure we're doing what we can to invest in everyone in our community, especially those who are the most marginalized and oftentimes create the most harms.
Is it correct that I read that only 17.4% of Stockton residents have bachelor's degrees?
That's absolutely correct, and we're working incredibly hard to change that. So I mentioned the scholarship program we just launched to make it so that young people see college as attainable, and that's something we're really focused on in the city because that's going to be the long-term key to our transformation.
You are quite the success story yourself, 26-year-old mayor, a Stanford grad. What made you decide that you were ready to be mayor of a city like Stockton?
I spent 4 years on city council representing the neighborhood I grew up in. In those 4 years working with the community, we were able to do things that sound small but were huge. We closed down problem liquor stores. We opened health clinics. We got the whole community organized around this South Stockton Promise Zone and Reinvent South Stockton idea. And people would come to the council meetings saying, you only care about South Stockton, you only care about South Stockton. And at first I was like, well, I'm doing my job. But then I was listening and I was like, well, maybe they're saying the rest of the city could use the same level of leadership. So then I decided to run for mayor in 2016, won, and it's been a nice, long, fun, and often hard journey ever since.
You've brought a lot of innovative ideas and we'll be following them for sure. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us.